Carl Jung said, "Awaken and shine your light for others to follow. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is an invitation to move differently in the world, to operate from a place of deep knowing and alignment. I'm Adrienne McDonald, and welcome to the Source Code Podcast. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. It's been a January, right? Happy Friday, and I'm feeling a little salty, so this might be a buckle up episode. I want to talk about letting go of spiritual dogma. I've seen, experienced, heard a lot of late of that one path is more superior to another path, or that one path is the only path, or a little bit of the, well, I'm better than you because I do this type of vibe in the spiritual community. And that's all BS, man. There are many paths to awakening. And it got me thinking about one of my favorite movies, Doctor Strange, from the Marvel Universe. There's a pivotal moment in that movie when Doctor Strange is trying to learn how to use the powers. And he's very frustrated. And the Ancient One shares a very profound truth. And she says, you cannot beat a river into submission. You have to surrender to its current and use its power as your own. And Dr. Stephen Strange, a man of intellect and control, he balks at this and he says, I control it by surrendering control? That doesn't make any sense. And the Ancient One replies, not everything does, not everything has to. Your intellect has taken you far in life, but it will take you no further. Surrender, Stephen. And that is one of my really top 5 favorite quotes. And this moment perfectly encapsulates the paradox of surrender. It's not about giving up, but about stepping into a deeper flow of trust and creativity. And yet, in today's spiritual spaces, that concept often clashes with a growing problem of dogmatic views. And spirituality, at its core, is meant to liberate. It's about connecting to something greater, expanding beyond the confines of our individual experiences and embracing the mystery of life. Remember last week I talked about we were in the gate of inner truth. The mysteries of life it was all about it. However, somewhere along the way, many of these spiritual paths have become very rigid. The people have become rigid too. Practices that were once used for connection have turned into rules of who can do what, and leaving very little room for individuality. And also, I think a lot don't cultivate self-trust. It's one of the reasons why I love my shamanic teacher, because she is all about direct revelation, which is about building trust within yourself and that connection that you have, that direct line with the divine. And dogma, the belief that there's only one right way, can show up in many forms. And I mean, you can have a yoga teacher who insists that their sequence and their sequence alone can unlock enlightenment of some sort. You can have a self-help book that claims its process is the only path to transformation, or the best. That's the other one that I can't stand. It's like, this is the best path to transformation. Totally discounts the individual. Or a spiritual community that maybe even tries subtly to shame those that don't adopt their practices, or maybe they overtly shame people that don't adopt their practices. I know a few of those. Because when dogma takes over, spirituality shifts from an open exploration of truth, and there are many truths, and there are paradoxes of truths, to a performance of a kind of perfection. It's no longer about connection, but compliance. And that's a shadow place, because in the worst of it, people can be taken advantage of, and they can become dependent and codependent on gurus and the like. And bad things can and have happened in those realms. And for those that don't resonate with the prescribed path, the result is often shame, self-doubt, the false belief that they are doing something wrong, or that they're not good enough, or that, they're just inherently wrong somehow. And that's not true. Just because you entered in something that you don't resonate with, that doesn't make you bad. That just means that it didn't resonate with you. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I've experienced that, that's just not my thing, man. But plant medicine is a good example of that. People assume because I've gone down a shamanic path that I am all about ayahuasca and ayahuasca, psilocybin, etc. I don't feel called to do plant medicine at this point. I don't shame those people that have done it. It's just not my thing. In the future, could be my thing. I don't know. But right now, that doesn't make me less than in the shamanic practice that I do. Even though that's been projected on me of, well, you've not done plant medicine, so you can't be down a shamanic path. That's bullshit. The concept of surrender, as illustrated in Dr. Strange, offers a really powerful antidote to dogma. And if you watch that movie, the Ancient One guides, but she doesn't. She gives Dr. Strange that opportunity to find it within himself, and therefore cultivating that self-trust so that he can go forth and do what he needs to do, that he can connect with that spark, that he can manage his magic. It calls for us to let go of the need to control, to force, or fit into a predefined mold. That is what that surrender means. Instead, surrender invites us to flow with life's currents instead of fighting them. Trust in our inner wisdom and intuition. And this is, I can't emphasize that enough. Embrace the mystery, even when things don't make logical sense. Right now we are in the sun is in Human Design Gate 60. Yeah. And this energy beautifully sort of mirrors this idea. It's often called the it is the gate of acceptance. Sometimes it's referred to as the gate of limitation, because it carries that pressure to transform within the boundaries of a reality. And in its shadow, that could be frustration and resistance. But in the gift, it's creativity born from realizing and acknowledging limitations or restraints. And when we surrender to what is, instead of fighting against it, we unlock new levels of innovation and possibility. See it for what it is instead of what you want it to be. What are you dealing with now? And at the heart of surrender is self-trust. Without it, we're more likely to cling to external systems, external gurus, seeking validation, doing people-pleasing, looking for certainty from others instead of looking within. And developing self-trust allows us to discern what really truly resonates with us versus what feels imposed or trying to meet somebody's expectations. It allows us to navigate the vast array of spiritual practices without getting lost, without letting the core of our being get overwhelmed. It allows us to stand firm in our choices, even when they differ from mainstream or the popular path. I mean, I am a personal representation of that. I practice Celtic shamanism. I use human design. I am an energy practitioner. That is not part of the larger mainstream. One could argue it's getting more popular. But self-trust is the foundation for finding what works for you. When you trust yourself, you become your own authority. You're no longer swayed by these spiritual trends or the pressure to conform. Instead, you can approach spirituality as an exploration, which is what I think it should be. Picking up what feels aligned and also leaving behind what doesn't. And this is very important, without guilt and without shame. And building self-trust is a process, especially for those who have spent years looking outward for answers. This is at the core of what I do. This is why I do what I do, because I want you to be able to question without feeling like you should be ashamed. I want you to be able to tune into that inner voice and go, yeah, this is for me, this is not for me. And self-trust does require you to tune into your inner voice. It requires you to experiment with different practices and being willing to make mistakes along the way. But the reward is really profound. Spirituality that feels authentic, grounded, and deeply personal. As you weave through different opportunities, you will find one that you will resonate with. I feel pretty confident in that. A major flaw of dogmatic, why can't I say that word today? Spirituality is its failure to recognize that each person's journey is unique. And that's one of the reasons why I like human design, because I can tell you all the things in your chart, but it's really just a map for you to start digging for gold. What works for you may not work for another. I've had a couple experiences recently and invited into stuff. I'm like, that's just not me. It's like energetic practices. I've said on here before, tapping is just not my thing either. Like, I've tried it. It's just not for me. Also, some people thrive in really structured rituals. I'm not one of them, but I have some people that do. Others find liberation in spontaneous or intuitive practice. I'm usually like a go with the flow, what's in the moment for me type of person. Some people connect deeply with meditation, while others find their peace through movement meditation. And that's another thing, is meditation doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the lotus position still. There's all different sorts of meditative practices. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have no idea that. It's like, I thought I would have to sit still. No, there's a lot of options out there. Walking in nature can be a very meditative practice. This is why approaches like human design or gene keys can be really transformative, because they remind us that there's no single right way to grow or heal or connect. They're meant to be used to uncover our own path, one that aligns with who we are on a cell level. Your intellect has taken you far in life. but it will take you no further. Like that's such a powerful statement. Our intellect is an incredible tool, helping us analyze and plan and make sense of the world, but it's not meant to lead us in matters of self-trust and spirituality. That role belongs to intuition. And intuition is that quiet inner knowing that guides us towards what feels aligned, even if it defies logic, because a lot of times it will. Developing self-trust, that ironclad self-trust, means allowing the intuition to take the lead and letting the intellect support it rather than the other way around. And when we release that need for the one-size-fits-all approach, especially for those who have tried that, like myself, and was like, this, like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't this work for me? When we release that, then we create space for a different type of connection, like a more authentic, a true connection. We can celebrate the diversity of spiritual expression. We can learn from others without needing to adopt their path as our own. We can get curious. We can embrace that paradox that the Ancient One was describing as, like, again, your intellect has taken you far in life, but it will take you no further. We can embrace the surrender. So a couple of reflective questions. Where in your life are you resisting the flow? And what would it look like to surrender? Have you ever felt not enough because you didn't resonate with a specific spiritual practice? How can you honor your own unique path? Or if you felt that way, what would it take for you to try again? What limitations are showing up in your life right now? And how may they be guiding you towards growth or creativity? Like, where's the innovation? Because it's there somewhere. And most importantly, how often do you trust your inner voice? And what practices help you strengthen that trust? That's one of the reasons why I like looking at the design. It's because I'm like, okay, all right, this gives me a little nugget. This gives me something to go experiment with. This gives me something to look at. When I look at the transit, gives me a little bit different energy to play with. As you move through life, consider this. What if surrender was not a sign of weakness, but of strength? What if letting go of control is the key to discovering a deeper, more authentic connection with yourself and with the universe? And what if, by embracing your own unique path, you inspire others to do the same? The river doesn't need to be beaten into submission, and neither do you. You got to trust that current. You got to cultivate that ironclad trust in yourself and let it carry you to places that you probably not even thought were possible. So that is it for today. I appreciate you listening. As always, feel free to connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Threads and LinkedIn. Let me know what you think. If you were inspired, share this out. And remember to find beauty every day and seek the magic in the mundane. Thank you for listening to the Source Code Podcast. If you found this episode insightful and feel moved to, please leave a review and share it out with those you believe will find it helpful. You can check out my website for more information at www.adrianmcdonald.com. And for more of my more regular musings, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. I hope you have a beautiful week.